It's great to have a university degree, but I think it's great to also say that you accomplished something on the side. And doing an SAP certification made me stand out from the crowd. And I firmly believe it was one of the reasons why my current employer chose me compared to the other large pool of candidates out there. My name is Bo Vandenberg. I'm 22 years old. I'm currently living in the UK. My passions is anything related to the supply chain and logistics industry. The SAP first came into my world as a module at my university. My lecturers made it clear to me that there was a huge demand for consultants and the knowledge gained in SAP modules. So not really having so much knowledge about tech, but realizing that there was a massive industry out there for me, made it clear that this was something I needed to pursue a bit further. So my first certification that I took in SAP was learning about the S4HANA systems and the integration that's possible within SAP, specifically S4HANA. I knew it was a small investment in a great accreditation for a lifelong career. So it's a real boost to show that such a small part of my university and modules of S4HANA can allow me to have greater opportunities at my current employer. SAP Learning Solutions I thought was a fantastic, easy way to gain a certification. I never felt I was alone doing SAP, and I think that's one of the biggest benefits, is that the company will support you all the way because they want you to gain a certification. They want you to shout about it because it is such a great qualification to have. An SAP certification is such a small early investment within yourself with such a large outcome. Really allowed me to grow confidence in myself. If you think about it, I dedicated 3 months to this study. 3 months out of my whole entire career is nothing, and look where it's landed me now. Graduating last year with a fantastic degree and a fantastic grade. I got accepted into an incredible graduate scheme immediately straight after. And then I'm working in an industry which I'm very passionate about and consistently succeeding in. Not only now, but I hope to do so in the future. So I think that's the thing that I'm most proud of.